Incident log 47 Alpha-01. This is researcher Roach interviewing Sergeant Walsh. How are you feeling?
Yeah, fine, I guess.
You're a member of Gamma 6, correct? Deep feeders is what they call you.
Listen, man, let's just skip the formalities and get to the point.
Okay, the sub. When you and your team went down there, what did you find?
Well, I mean, it had been my first time being in a submarine, if you could call it that. The thing was in bad shape. When we cut our way in, we got sucked into the airlock. Douglas fucked up his ankle, so he had to call it quits early, and they had to send a replacement down to us.
Sucked in?
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned it. The sub had air still inside it. Once we got our replacement guy, we decided not to take our gear off. If there was any shit in the air, we probably wouldn't have known until it was too late.
I understand. Describe the submarine, the interior, if you could.
The interior looked a hell of a lot worse than the outside. Jagged pieces of rusted metal everywhere, pipes that jut out of the walls, and a layout that made no sense. SL had experience with submarines in the past, and he filled us in on what was wrong with the place as we went through it, although it didn't really take a sub-expert to know that this thing was seriously fucked. How it remained airtight is beyond me.
Did you encounter anything inside of the sub? Anything alive?
No, nothing. There were a few skeletons here and there, but nothing alive. If there were more people operating that thing, odds are they escaped it before it hit the seafloor.
Interesting. So nothing of note then entering?
Nah, not really.
How about when you exited the sub? I've read the reports already, but for sake of protocol, I still have to interview you. What did you find?
I don't know. It's hard to describe without sounding like I was on something. You ever stand up too fast and you feel lightheaded? It was kind of like that. When we opened the airlock to leave the sub to go back to HQ, we were hit with this wave of unease and discomfort. Something was very clearly wrong. The room was a lot brighter than when it was underwater. Speaking of which, all the water dried out of that room. Kind of like it was never wet in the first place. I was the first to step into the airlock, and I took a look out of the hole we cut. We weren't underwater anymore. It was like the sub had somehow washed up on the shore or something. Or the oceans had drained and the sub was left behind. Really freaky shit. We hopped out of the sub to do some exploring and found that there was still seawater, although it had been tainted somehow. The whole place was tainted.
Tainted? In what way?
Ever since Command has authorized us to carry a few Geiger counters with us. The one who noticed it at first was O'Neill. He heard it start ticking, I guess. Said that it wasn't a lethal amount, but if we stayed there for longer than an hour, we would probably start feeling sick. SL figured that gave us a 30-minute window to explore while we still could. So we left the sub. All 7 of us.
And only 2 of you came back?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you need to stop, we can continue later.
It's, I'll be fine. I can keep going. Shit happens in this line of work.
Very well. If you could, explain to me the environment.
Funnily enough, we were still on Malden, although a different version of it. I think we were in the northern part of the island, on the shore. Hard to tell, though, besides using a compass. The whole place had this dingy brown look to it. Like, you ever watch those action movies that came out in like 2010, where they put a color filter over the camera? Yeah, it was like that. Except brown. It was raining ash, too, and the fog stopped us from seeing anything further than 200 or so meters. Maybe it wasn't fog, and it was just smoke. I don't know.
Where did you travel to? That is, if you did leave the area surrounding the sub.
We just started walking south. We didn't have a map of anything besides the operating area surrounding the sub when it was under the water. I kind of remember the map of Malden, though. We went to this tiny village thing that was near a lighthouse. The whole place was ravaged. Buildings either half-standing or completely destroyed. We didn't find much there, so we left to go further south. By that time, we had around 25 minutes left. We kept walking until we started to see what looked like walls and maybe a bunker, a military installation or something. But before we could actually get there, we heard this blood-curdling scream that came from the walls. It sounded fucked. It didn't sound human. SL told us to get switched on, and we approached the military base ready for whatever was up there. Or at least that's what we told ourselves.
And what did you find up there, Walsh?
It was an abandoned military base, or overrun. Everything was in shambles. Wrecks for vehicles I've never seen before were strewn about. Bullet holes and signs of a huge battle were everywhere. There were no bodies, though. Not even any blood. The whole place, especially after the screech we heard, had us on edge. The whole time we were walking through the place, we kept hearing shit skittering around us. And then it hit us. This thing. It was shaped like a person, but it was like if you stuck them in a pot of boiling water and then covered them in like a black tar substance.
I see. You said this thing looked human.
What the hell?
Hey, guys. We gotta cut this short. Apparently some shit just happened in the area. Some site director or some shit just got captured by a group of thugs. We're going into lockdown. We can do the interview later.
All right, I guess this concludes our...
We gotta go now, Doc!